Today's selection is There Is No Other Name.
The Oracles of the UCI.
1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and have sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us. Yahweh has given us a set of rules and regulations to adhere by here on this earth that he has created. I have to oftentimes tell people that the Sabbath, Yahweh's rest, was before any nation. It was before any so-called religion. It was before anything. So his Sabbath is bigger than all of these other things or reasons that people want to give as to why they don't have to do it. But part of the reason why we have succumbed to those things is because of the adversary, the devil, who is indeed the master manipulator, and just how he does things. And he seeks those, just like Yahweh seeks those who are going to worship him in truth and in spirit. The adversary, the devil, is seeking to build his army as well. So we have to be careful what things we allow to get into our spirit. The title of today's sermon is The Master Manipulator. And I want to read the definition of manipulate. It says, to treat or operate in a skillful manner, to manage or utilize skillfully, to control or play upon by artful, unfair, or insidious means, especially to one's own advantage or to serve one's own purpose. The adversary, the devil, began his stay here on earth manipulating situations for his own purpose. In the garden, Lucifer manipulated the serpent, who manipulated the woman, who then manipulated her husband. In the end, every entity in the scenario was punished: the manipulator and the ones who were manipulated. The man in the garden attempted to blame his wrong on the woman that was given unto him. This concept of blame shifting has been used frequently since that time. There are many that when they get caught doing something wrong, you will mysteriously hear about the wrongdoing of someone else. This mysterious revelation is used to shift blame away from them. In this scheme, they never have to acknowledge their own deeds, so they think. Let's begin today's sermon in Proverbs chapter 18. You know, if the adversary was bold enough to try to manipulate Yahshua, then we have to expect some things. As soon as Yahshua, the Spirit of Israel, entered into this body of baptism, here comes the adversary trying to manipulate how the word was to be dealt with. He was using those things out of context so he could get Yahshua to do things the way he wanted to do those things. And in the whole thing of manipulation, it is then presented that it would be in your best interest to operate in this particular fashion. That's what manipulation is all about. Instead of someone just coming out and saying this is what they want, they kind of orchestrate the situation to make it appear as if it would be in your best interest to do it this way. And the adversary, the devil, has set that approach here on earth, and it has continued since that time. As it is written, when he tells a lie, he's telling of his own, because he invented it. So then when we decide to enter into those things, there's a thing called intellectual property. Even when we put out teachings and things like that, we have to put notes on some of these graphics. If we use any music, you have to put a disclaimer on there. Otherwise, they say, hey, this is part of somebody else's intellectual property. You need to pay them for that. Well, Yahweh says Lucifer made up lying. He invented it. That's his intellectual property. So when you use it, you owe him. Now the problem is he ain't told you what you owe. And anytime you get into an agreement and you've already used that, what it is, and then you try to negotiate after, I can tell you, you ain't never gonna come out right. You always want any negotiation to be done before you use that particular thing. There are people who use samples to make their song, and the song was a hit. Problem was they didn't make that little agreement beforehand. They basically took the whole song, hit, million seller. They still working at the Waffle House because they didn't make that agreement first. They were able to dictate all the terms at that point because you used their property. Now they say I want 90%, and there's absolutely nothing any of those artists could say. But what we used wasn't 90% of your side. Don't matter. You're negotiating on the wrong end. So we talk about people who and who make a deal with the devil, and we say, man, you know, that's a bad situation. Those people made a deal with the devil. Actually, those people at least control their terms. When you use something that belonged to him and you didn't make the deal, you actually worse off. You don't even have an opportunity at this point to say, yeah, I agree with this, or no, I don't agree with that. You locked into whatever terms he makes. Proverbs chapter 18, and we're going to read verses 1 through 24.
Through desire, a man, having separated himself, seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom. A fool has no delight in understanding, but that his heart may discover itself. When the wicked comes, then comes also contempt, and with ignominy reproach. The words of a man's mouth are as deep waters, and the wellspring of wisdom as a flowing brook. It is not good to accept the person of the wicked, to overthrow the righteous in judgment.
And this ends up being a problem when we have the line of family, because some can't go past their personal connections with people to deal with what's right and what's wrong. This is gang type mentality. In the gang type mentality, you don't have to examine. A Crip don't ask if the other Crip did something wrong. They say, all right, he got on blue, we got on blue. Let's shoot at the people that got on red. Yeah, but what if the blue guy did something wrong? It don't matter. He got on blue. We gonna agree with him because he in our gang. This keeps a lot of people from dealing with righteousness because of cliques. They just agree with who's ever on their side. Yahweh can't use them kind of people. You have to wonder, when Yahweh says, I may have one of a city and two of a family, that may be all they can use out your family. That don't mean the rest of them not intelligent. That don't mean the rest of them are not caring. They got blockades in there that he's not able to use them. He says, he that loves mother and father more than me is not worthy of me. Go ahead.
Verse 6. A fool's lips enter into contention, and his mouth calls for strokes. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul. The words of a talebearer are his wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. He also that is slothful in his work is brother to him that is a great waster. The name of Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous runs into it and is safe. The rich man's wealth is his strong city, and is an high wall in his own conceit.
Right. Now, you have a situation where, of course, if you run into problems, money can be used to take care of a lot of things. So you have people that seek after money, 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 believing that it is going to take care of all issues. There's another issue that having money creates that nobody considers. Whatever small problem you have, money is going to magnify that. So if you got a small drinking problem, you're going to be a drunk. If you have a small smoking problem, you're going to turn into a chimney. And money going to help you do it. If you have a small little eyeball problem, you like to look at everything, you are going to be a whore when you get that money. It is going to magnify every little slight problem you have. So people spend all their time going after money and never consider, have you thought about the problems that it's going to bring when you get it? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 12. Before destruction the heart of a man is haughty, and before honor is humility. He that answers a matter before he hears it, it is folly and shame unto him.
Right. And when you answer or make your decision up hearing one person's story, that is equivalent to answering a matter before you hear it. And there's some you don't even get the opportunity to even talk, because they have already made their decision up hearing one person's version. To Yahweh is wickedness. Go ahead.
The spirit of a man will sustain his infirmity, but a wounded spirit who can bear? The heart of the prudent gets knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. He that is first in his own cause seems just, but his neighbor comes and searches him.
This is where the talebearer gets his strength from. He needs to be the first one to come and tell his story. This is why before we even heard the truth in this word, guess what we heard first? Lucifer's verse. Very few people grew up in the word and heard the word first. What we heard first was something Lucifer had set up. So by the time you hear the truth, you were somewhat poisoned to it. What? You supposed to do what? No, I ain't doing all that. Why I gotta do that? You automatically are apprehensive Why? Because Lucifer got there first. This is what the talebearer does. He operates in the way that Lucifer operates. He's got to get there first to tell his story. So that when the other person's version comes, you're already poisoned to it. These are ways of the adversary, the devil, that we have picked up here in the daughter of Babylon. And they got to stay here. They can't go in Yahweh's land with us. There's supposed to be a whole bunch of stuff. We're not supposed to just look back and see buildings falling and the water covering stuff. It should be some stuff there. There go my manipulation. It's down there in that water right there. Look at that. That's that kind of stuff we need to be looking at as well that's going down with them buildings. That stuff need to stay here. Because if we take it into that land, I can guarantee you we ain't going to be that long. And Yahweh not going to be made out of a liar. So I can tell you what he going to do. Same thing he did before. I'm going to kill y'all off and bring the kids. Because see, they have a better opportunity of following instructions. See, these grown folks, see, we so CAT smart, we can figure out a way around something. All right, I tell you what, how about I kill you off and bring these children? I ain't going to have no problem with them. So don't think he got to do something with us. He's already done it before. He will let us raise up these kids, bring them kids to the gate, and kill all us off. Go ahead, brother.
Proverbs chapter 18 and verse 18. The lot causes contentions to cease, and parteth between the mighty. A brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city, and their contentions are like the bars of a castle. A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Whoso finds a wife finds a good thing, and obtains favor of Yah.
You can't tell. You know, it's like sometimes going to the barbershop. I think brothers go to the barbershop just so they can complain about their wife. And I mean, they be talking. But all you got to do is just sit there. And sooner or later be like, hey, brother, where you going? Back home to my wife. All right, that's what I thought. Bunch of empty talk. But here's the problem. See, I've had to stop some brothers from listening to some other brothers before, because what was happening is listening to those tall tales that brothers tell in the barbershop. Brothers that got to the point where they start having indignation against another man's wife, listening to his little stories. And I had to pull a brother aside, and the brother ended up admitting it. Thank you for pulling me aside, because I started having a negative outlook toward this sister because of listening to what this brother was saying. Come to figure out, he was telling the real slanted version of the story. It never included anything he did wrong, which is how most stories go. Go ahead.
The poor useth entreaties, but the rich answers roughly. A man that has friends must show himself friendly. And there is a friend that sticks closer than a brother.
Right, as a friend that sticks closer than a brother, because the friend, he's not bound by so-called blood. He's there because he wants to be there. There's a reason why Yahweh separated Abraham from his family. That little part of connection, as Yahweh is trying to do something great with Abraham, he's still having these family connections that are holding him back. So at some point, if he's going to receive the ultimate blessing that Yahweh has to give him, he's got to draw the line in the sand between him and his family. And Yahweh drew the first one for him, because he made sure his father had died before he went into that first level. That next level with Lot, he had to make that decision on his own. See, Yahweh ain't going to do everything for you. I did the first one. I took care of the situation between you and your father. Now, you ain't got to worry about that. But this one between you and Lot, you're going to have to make this decision. And as long as he was with Lot, Yahweh would not go on that next level of dealing with it. And if you got a lot in your life, you're going to have to make some decisions. Exodus chapter 23. Because if that lot is still there, you have already reached as far as Yahweh going to deal with you. You can cry and pray and sing and dance. You can do all you want to do. But he done. As long as you got that lot there. Go ahead, bro.
I was going to say, even in that situation, it's only fitting that he had to make the decision because he decided to bring him along.
Exactly. But see, that was family obligation. That's why Yahweh said, Yahshua said, who is my mother and my brother? My mother and my brother are the people that sharing this word with me. See, we was raised up and they told us blood was thicker than water. It is. The blood of Yahshua. It is thicker than water. Exodus 23, and let's read verses 1 through 9.
You shall not raise a false report. Put not your hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness. You shall not follow a multitude to do evil. Neither shall you speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment.
Right. What that means to wrest judgment is to cause judgment to decline. So you shall not speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment. What the whole part of the act of talebearing does causes a person to feel a certain way about another individual. So when an issue happens, there's already a push to cause judgment to decline because a person is poisoned against one of those people. So if you do that to decline, to speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment, you have now got in a place where you have justified wickedness. And Yahweh's not going to justify wickedness, and he's not going to agree with us justifying wickedness. And justifying wickedness is something that could get you in a situation and you wasn't even the one that did it. We had a situation in Israel where the tribe of Benjamin almost got completely killed off. All they had to do was turn over the people who had viciously dealt with this woman. All they had to do was turn them over. Or whoever they had dealt with. Benjamin said, no, we're not going to turn them over. Then the war ends up being between the rest of the tribes of Israel and the tribe of Benjamin. They almost got killed off as a tribe. Why? Because they justified wickedness. They said, we are not going to give up this entity who did this because it was done in our place. And they almost lost their place. They almost lost everything. They had to stop killing Benjamin and said, man, if we keep going, we're going to wipe out a tribe of Israel. It's going to be 11 gates instead of 12. Then they had to find some women for them to be able to multiply again. And they weren't even the ones that actually did the wickedness. They just protected the ones who did the wickedness. So when you protect wickedness, you might as well have done it. When you hide the murderer, go ahead and go stab somebody. You're getting the same time. Go ahead.
I mean, and it's still on the books now. Was it aiding and abetting? You
Yeah.
go to jail.
Right. But it's funny how we can jump in and out of Yahweh's law and jump in and out of man's law as it suits our particular situation. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Neither shall you countenance a poor man in his cause. If you meet your enemy's ox or his ass going astray, you shall surely bring it back to him again.
No, once we dislike somebody, no, I ain't doing that. Whose ox is that? That Jimmy Ox? I hate Jimmy. I hope that ox die. We might even feed the ox paws. Hey, go give him some of that. Give him some of that antifreeze. Let him drink that. He looked thirsty. Right. But it's okay because I don't like him. See? So I can do that evil to him. That's not what my book say. If you meet your enemy's ox, you shall not forbear to help him. What's the problem? No, but once we get in a gear, we stay in that gear, no matter what. I don't know what kind of little coalition they got going on around here. It's just a bunch of look. See, this is what you have. Every first of the month, we have all the children in with us. And I purposely try to do a shorter sermon. See, I already got questioned by Sarai 2.0 in the back. Like, it's a short class. Hey, hold on, shout, hold on. I know what I'm doing now. Hold on. So we do a shorter sermon on the first, because, you know, I'm surprised like Kishai is still up. Look, Zion is asleep already. You see that right now? You see that? We have been in here 15 minutes. Right? Everybody looking at you, bro. Everybody looking at you. Now, we actually thought it would be the younger brother who, because he falls asleep like 5 minutes. He gone. Every now and then, Kish have to look and be like, y'all help him so he don't fall out that chair. But it wasn't him this time. He hanging. His brother not doing so hot, though. But he hanging. You know, I thought it would be him. It is not him. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 5. If you see the ass of him that hates you lying under his burden and would forbear to help him, you shall surely help with him.
Man, the other day, Leah had a flat tire on the highway, and a brother pulled over and changed the tire. When she called me, I told her call the 511. Oh. They'll come, the little hero unit, right? Before the hero unit could get there, brother with a truck done pulled over, boom, changed the tire. I said, get a brother, you know, whatever you got. And she said, I ain't got nothing but a 20. I said, get a brother the 20. Brother said, no, I ain't gonna take no money. Had it been my mama or my wife or my daughter, I would want somebody to pull over on the side of the road and help them change the tire. Now, I told her to call 511. I think she got outside and stuck her leg out because that dude pulled over fast. You know what I'm saying? I've been meaning to have that conversation with her. That sure was awfully fast that brother pulled over there. So I think she dangled that leg out and the brother, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. We're going to have a whole nother conversation about that right there. Go ahead, brother.
You shall not rest the judgment of your poor in his cause. Keep you far from a false matter. And the innocent and righteous slay you not. For I will not justify the wicked.
I will not justify the wicked. So once Yahweh sees that there's a problem in it, I'm dealing with every piece of wickedness that's in it. And whose ever part, when you deal with it in the beginning, each person is getting manipulated in the garden. Yahweh dealt with every entity. I don't care how much blame shifting you do. Well, it wasn't my fault. It was them. Yeah, I'm going to get them too. But I'm getting everybody involved. So you can blame shift all you want. All that's doing is pushing back the date of you being dealt with, which ends up causing more things for you to deal with. We keep thinking if we defer the trial, that's going to help us. A deferred trial means that more things come up at your trial date. So instead of one charge, now you got 15 charges. Why? Because you kept deferring all of them. See, that's that little thing that we got with the credit card. We're like, look, I ain't got to pay. I ain't got to pay. All I got to do is swipe it. What I did? Swipe it. I got it. Right? And you keep on swiping. Swipe. Look at the new clothes. Right? A bill gonna show up for all that swiping though. And check this out. It's got interest on it. When you swiped, it was $350 worth of clothes. When the bill show up, it said $432. Wait a minute. What is this? Oh yeah, that's the charge of swiping. Yeah, we add a little something to it. That's how we do it. Go ahead.
Hey, you hope it go away because you just heard about Nipsey Hussle situation. The credit card company told him to freeze all his assets because he owed them $50,000. Man, dead and gone. They still, no, we want our money.
Of course. Hey man, this Babylon. Babylon can steal everything from everybody all over the earth, but they want their money. and they want their money by Tuesday. Go ahead.
And you shall take no gift, for the gift blinds the wise.
Right. And that gift could be friendship. That gift could be allowing us to be in their company. See? So we accept this gift so that we can cause unrighteous judgment to go forth. Go ahead.
And perverts the words of the righteous.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you shall not oppress a stranger, for you know the heart of a stranger, seeing you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
We have forgotten those things. We have forgotten what that is. You know, we ask for forgiveness, but there are times when we forget things that we have gone through. It is amazing how that selective amnesia kicks up within us. But we have to deal with this thing of forgiveness as well, because people have the act of forgiveness mixed up with atonement. Yahweh forgave man for his sin, but it took Yeshua's sacrifice to make righteous atonement. I may forgive someone for stabbing me in the back, but don't accuse me of not being a forgiving person because I don't feel comfortable with you walking behind me. I forgave you because I didn't retaliate. But if you stab me again, it will have to be from the front, because I will not allow you to get in that position to do that same thing to me again in the same way. And it's funny how things will end up going. Ironically, I know somebody who's actually physically stabbed somebody in the back. And you know that person don't like nobody walking behind them? They always manipulate themselves in the room so nobody can walk behind them. And they're the only one in the room that has ever stabbed anybody. Ironic, isn't it? Absolutely ironic. It reminds you of the whole American policy on weapons. No one can have weapons of mass destruction. Okay, question. Ain't we the only country who has ever used an atomic weapon on anybody on this earth? Mm-hmm. So how you go all in everybody else's business trying to go get them? You can't have no weapon. You can't have no weapon. You can't have no weapon. But you the only one that ever used one. Nobody else has. So you have to look at the ironic hypocrisy and how things are dealt with. And you start to understand why people act in certain ways. Oh, you worried about people doing to you what you've done to somebody else. There's a documentary that I had Leo put in our watch later thing. And it's about how it's something about the upcoming war with China. And part of the things is going over the testing that America did with those nuclear weapons. They basically got those, what's it called, Marshall Islands or something like that. All these Asians. This is where they've been testing all the nuclear bombs. Man, those people have deformities. Those people have all kinds of issues. They have done all kind of wickedness to these people. Went over there and just took their islands. And this is near China for a reason, so that they can go over there and shoot those weapons from there. But they've practiced exploding these nuclear weapons in all these places. These people are sick beyond measure. They have given birth to kids that have all kinds of issues. They took the people out of the island, detonated all the nuclear bombs, then told the people it was safe to go back. Come to figure out, they were doing human experiments on these people. They were trying to see what the effects of radiation were. And they did it on these people. I'm gonna play that documentary, Yah's will, today. And for those who are watching online, it is called, I think, The Upcoming War with China. And it is very interesting how the hypocrisy of America is pushed out. They did the same thing to the Asians that they did to us, having those little films where they did in blackface. Well, they did the ones with Asian. It was Fu Manchu. You know, we used to hear them things and not really remember what they was about. They had the little Fu Manchu movies where they made them to always be the enemy after they've done all of these things to them. But it was presented that they were the aggressors, that they were the problem. So when you talk about what China is doing now, getting ready for this upcoming battle, it is because of the things that were done to them first. But because the narration of the story is controlled by a handful of people, you're not going to hear about those things openly. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 6. Proverbs chapter 6, and we're going to read verses 12 through 19.
Verse 12. A naughty person, a wicked man, walks with a froward mouth. He winks with his eyes, he speaks with his feet, he teaches with his fingers. Frowardness is in his heart. He deviseth mischief continually. He sows discord. Therefore shall his calamity come suddenly. Suddenly shall he be broken without remedy.
Right. And then what we do is when those things show up, we find a reason for it. So that we don't have to deal with what we put out there. My mama told me when I was little, whenever you digging a hole for somebody, make sure you dig too. That second one is your hole. And Yahweh gonna make you forget where that hole at. But you're gonna know it's yours because you're gonna find your shovel. Go ahead.
These 6 things does Yahweh hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him.
Right, but what we hear on Sunday morning is Yahweh don't hate nobody. Matter of fact, you ain't gonna hear nothing about Yahweh, period, on Sunday morning. All you gonna hear about is Jesus. They don't deal with the Father, they only deal with the Son. And he is all loving. Yet he's preparing for war. So while everybody else is gathering flowers, he's gathering swords. Go ahead.
A proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. And heart that devises wicked imaginations.
A heart that devises wicked imaginations. When you get to the point that you have become controlled by wicked imaginations and you think that those wicked imaginations are real, you've got in a place where Yahweh can't use you. Not only that, he says, I hate it. I hate a lying tongue, and I hate a heart that devises wicked imaginations. Go ahead.
Feet that be swift in running to mischief. A false witness that speaks lies.
Now, he already said a lying tongue. But now he goes again and says a false witness. False witness told a lie. When we want to convince somebody to be on our side, so we will talk about this other individual in a, really down way. Oh, Yahweh here, he just paused. Go ahead.
And he that sows discord among brethren.
And that's what sowing discord among brethren is. When we're going to dog somebody else out so that other people will not accept that individual. And if you watch, you'll see the same entity doing the same things over and over. They just jump from person to person to person. They said something negative to this person, said something negative to that person, move to that person. You look and they just go from person to person doing the same thing until Yahweh takes care of it. Let's go to Matthew chapter 15. And all the while, we're pleasing the adversary, the devil, by the way. Because what the adversary does, he believes he is justified because he didn't make you do anything. And this will be his thing with Yahweh. Yahweh, I didn't make him do nothing. I just suggested it. See? He's Mr. Powerful Suggestion. But he didn't make you do anything. That's why he believes that he can show up in front of Yahweh with accusations against you. I ain't tell him to do it. I didn't make him do it. But I told him where he could get that gun. I told him where they keep that safe at. I told him Keisha closed at 12 and don't nobody be with her on that night, on Tuesday. But I didn't make him do it. But I gave him everything necessary to do it. But I didn't make him do it. That's why he feels justified when he go before Yahweh and accuse you. He'll give you some information. And he right there, before you even process the information, talking to Yahweh about you. Go ahead, bro.
Matthew chapter 15 and verse
10.
And he called the multitude and said unto them, Hear and understand, not that which goes into the mouth defiles a man, but that which comes out of the mouth, this defiles a man. Then came his disciples and said unto him, Knoweth you that the Pharisees were offended after they heard this saying? But he answered and said, Every plant which my heavenly Father has not planted shall be rooted up. Let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch.
Right. The manipulator and the manipulated go in the ditch together. So don't think that you get some kind of pass because you got manipulated. No, you're going into the ditch too. Go ahead.
Then answered Cephas and said unto him, Declare unto us this parable. And Yahshua said, Are you also yet without understanding? Do not you yet understand that whatsoever enters in at the mouth goes into the belly and is cast out into the draught?
Now, of course, the whole question of this is about unwashed hands. But reading this in part is where people then said this is the re-cleansing of food. This is how they get holy pork. But you got to read this all the way to the end, or else those people will convince you that now pork is clean. See, this comes from Harmon and his Nutics right here. There's some hermeneutics right here. See, because it's about what it means for your life in this time. See, so then not reading this all the way to the end can get you into a whole nother doctrine. Go ahead.
Verse 18. But those things which proceed out of the mouth comes forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witnesses, or false witness, blasphemies.
Right, because all of those things were thought of first. They were contemplated first. Then they proceeded out of the mouth. Go ahead.
These are the things which defile a man.
And this is why you have to read this very last part. Go ahead.
But to eat with unwashen hands defileth not a man.
When all of the time those people are talking about and trying to push eating of unclean things, they say all of that part, but will not read the last line when it says, but to eat with unwashed hands defiles not a man. So you know how many people have been taught that this is where Christ re-cleansed the food? And they use the word to do it. This is how they manipulate strange doctrine, by leaving out certain things. But that's exactly what the adversary, the devil, did. He did the same thing. He tried to do it to Yahshua. Jump yourself, off of this mountain. He said he got angels that's going to protect you. He also said that we should not tempt Yahweh our Elohim. So when he tried to manipulate the situation, Yahshua took the word and put it back in the context. Go ahead, bro.
No, I just wanted to say, even, when you start at the beginning of that chapter, that's what they're dealing with at the beginning, is about the wash hands.
Mm-hmm.
Eating bread without washing. I mean, that's how the conversation started.
Yeah, but you don't really have that time on Sunday morning because you got to sing, you got to dance, you got to sing, and then you got to dance and then sing. So there's not a lot of time to read all this in between the singing and the dancing. You understand what I'm saying to you? So you just got to jump right to you can eat anything. There it is. Because they got collard green with some ham hock in it right now. You understand? So we got to go ahead and get to that. Go ahead, bro. Let's go to where we going? 1 Kings chapter 21. And it take time to walk all the way around the church when you got to separate the line between the regular offering and the tithers. That take a little minute. You know what I'm saying? So we got to have a special song for the tithers. You know what I'm saying? Put a little bit more bass in that song. Boom, 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 back down. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? You get a little, see? Because, see, that's the tithing line. You get an extra little umph in there. See? You don't get no bass guitar if you just a regular offering. They tell him, don't you pluck a string. Let these old regular offering people walk around first. Then when the tithers walk around, oh, they get in. Oh, they get in. Right. I know it well. 1 Kings chapter 21, and let's start that at verse 1.
And it came to pass after these things that Naboth the Israelite had a vineyard, which was in Jezreel, hard by the palace of Ahab king of Samaria. And Ahab spake unto Naboth, saying, Give me your vineyard, that I may have it for a garden of herbs.
Now, I want to expand my place. I want to expand my place. This brother has the misfortune of being located directly next to the king, which should be a good thing until the king wants your stuff. Then it's a really bad thing. Go ahead.
Because it is near unto my house.
Near unto my house. So, he's ready to do the first eminent domain. It's just condemn it and take it. It's mine. Go ahead.
And I'll give you for it a better vineyard than it. Or, if it seem good to you, I will give you the worth of it in money. And Naboth said to Ahab, Yahweh forbid it me, that I should give you the inheritance of my fathers unto you.
Now, this may sound one way, but understand, as a custom in Israel, the land stays in the family. We've gotten so accustomed to how things are done wickedly in this place. Land stays in the family. The man was not trying to be difficult. This is family land. It is supposed to stay with the family. Go ahead.
And Ahab came into his house heavy and displeased because of the word which Naboth the Israelite had spoken to him. For he had said, I will not give you the inheritance of my fathers. And he laid him down upon his bed and turned away his face and would eat no bread.
So this grown man starts pouting that he can't have somebody else's land. Go ahead.
But Jezebel, his wife, came to him and said unto him, Why is your spirit so sad that you eateth no bread? And he said unto her, Because I spake unto Naboth the Israelite, and said unto him, Give me your vineyard for money, or else, if it please you, I'll give you another vineyard for it. And he answered, I will not give you my vineyard. And Jezebel his wife said unto him, Does you now govern the kingdom of Israel? Arise and eat bread, and let your heart be merry. I will give you the vineyard of Naboth the Israelite.
So first she questioned his manhood and his kingship. Do you now govern the kingdom of Israel? Ain't you supposed to be the king? Go ahead.
So she wrote letters in Ahab's name and sealed them with his seal and sent the letters on to the elders and to the nobles that were in his city, dwelling with Naboth.
Right, because at this point, if it's sealed with his seal, he wrote it. she writing it in his name and use his seal, he know it. Go ahead.
And she wrote in the letters, saying, Proclaim a fast and set Naboth on high among the people, and set 2 men, sons of Belial, before him, to bear witness against him, saying, You did blaspheme Elohim and the king, and then carry him out and stone him that he may die.
So at the point where somebody gets this letter, this is a legal decree sealed with the seal of the king. Somebody should have been questioning this right off the rip. But at this point, even though what they're doing or what has been given unto them is illegal in the eyes of Yahweh, it was the law because it came from the king. Go ahead.
Verse 11, And the men of his city, even the elders and the nobles who were with the inhabitants of his city, did as Jezebel had sent unto them, and as it was written in the letters which she had sent unto them. They proclaimed a fast, and set Naboth on high among the people.
Right.
And there came in 2 men, children of Belial, and sat before him. And the men of Belial witnessed against him, even against Naboth, in the presence of the people, saying, Naboth did blaspheme Elohim and the king. Then they carried him forth out of the city, and stoned him with stones, that he died.
So first, you set up a big to-do, set the man in the presence of all the people, just so you can make a great accusation against him, and everybody will see it. And they need it too, so this way they can manipulate Yahweh's law. Go ahead.
Then they sent to Jezebel, saying, Naboth is stoned and is dead. And it came to pass, when Jezebel heard that Naboth was stoned and was dead, that Jezebel said to Ahab, Arise, take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Israelite, which he refused to give you for money, for Naboth is not alive, but dead.
Now, there's certain things that we look at, or that we read, and it talks about stoning. I don't think we understand the pure violence of a stoning. It is one of the most violent things. I have had the displeasure of seeing one of those things scrolling through the internet. And I tell people, you gotta be careful what you run into scrolling through the internet. Oh my God. It's one of the most horrible things I've ever witnessed in my life. It is not, I guarantee you, when you see, and this is one of the things that everybody had to take part in. All of the people had to be there for the stoning. This is not like some private event. No. Everybody there, and whoever made the accusation has to be the first one to throw the stone. After watching it, guarantee whatever that is, you can say, I don't know what I'm gonna do in life. I know I ain't gonna do that right there. I ain't gonna do that. Whatever that is, I need to find out why they threw that rock at him, because I'm not doing that. Whatever that is, I'm not doing. It is absolutely horrible. And what I watched, they dug a hole and sat the person in the hole. So it wasn't no moving. Wasn't nothing they can do but accept them rocks. It is the most horrible thing ever. But I guarantee you, you're going to change your course of action after you see it. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 16, And it came to pass, when Ahab heard that Naboth was dead, that Ahab rose up to go down to the vineyard of Naboth the Israelite, to take possession of it.
So this shows that he was in agreement of it. She came in, manipulated the situation so that it could go the way that she wanted it to go. And now that it's available, now he's going to take it. Go ahead.
And the word of Yahweh came to Eliah the Tishbite, saying, Arise, go down to meet Ahab, king of Israel, which is in Samaria. Behold, he is in the vineyard of Naboth, whether he is gone down to possess it. And you shall speak unto him, saying, Thus says Yah, have you killed and also taken possession? And you shall speak unto him, saying, Thus says Yah, in the place where dogs lick the blood of Naboth shall dogs lick your blood, even yours. And Ahab said to Eliah, Have you found me, O mine enemy? And he answered, I've found you, because you have sold yourself to work evil in the sight of Yah.
Right. People don't think you see him. When something has been manipulated to a point, understand, he has not physically done that. His wife set up all the manipulation. So now you look at this situation. Have you found me? Yeah, I found you. You was the one okayed it. Yeah, I found you. Go ahead.
Behold, I'll bring evil upon you, and will take away your posterity, and will cut off from Ahab him that piss against the wall, and him that is shut up and left in Israel.
So I'm going to kill all your males, so you will not have a seed to follow you. Go ahead.
And will make your house like the house of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha the son of Eliah, for the provocation wherewith you have provoked me to anger, and made Israel to sin. And of Jezebel also spake Yah, saying, the dogs shall eat Jezebel by the wall of Jezreel. Him that dieth of Ahab in the city the dogs shall eat, and him that dies in the field shall the fowls of the air eat. But there was none like unto Ahab, which did sell himself to work wickedness in the sight of Yah, whom Jezebel his wife stirred up. And he did very abominably in following idols, according to all things as did the Amorites, whom Yahweh cast out before the children of Israel. And it came to pass, when Ahab heard those words, that he rent his clothes, and put sackcloth upon his flesh, and fasted, and lay in sackcloth, and went softly.
All right. So some wickedness has gone down. He has played his part. But then there's also this opportunity that then comes about because of how he deals with it once the judgment has been pronounced against him. Go ahead.
And the word of Yahweh came to Eliah the Tishbite, saying, seeth you how Ahab humbles himself before me? Because he humbles himself before me, I will not bring the evil in his days, but in his son's days will I bring the evil upon his house.
So he didn't blame shit. He didn't do the Adam. It was the woman you gave me. I ain't nobody did nothing. It was her. She, the woman, the female. You know her over there. I ain't doing none of that. He humbled himself, chastised himself to the point where Yahweh said, well, you know what? This dude is wicked. But I like the way the wicked even approached in trying to repent. So I'm going to put a pause on this judgment. I ain't going to take away the judgment, but I'm going to give him a little pause in the judgment because of how he dealt with it even when he got caught doing it. But see, we'll end up getting swifter judgment because here it is, we get caught, here go us. It was them. No, see what happened was the man admitted to what he did, chastised himself, and Yahweh added time onto his life without judgment. All because he acknowledged it, which seems to be very, very difficult for Israel to do. Very difficult. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 19. You would think we learned from the first one. The blame shift didn't work in the first one. I don't know why we keep trying it. When man said it was this woman, Yahweh didn't say, you know what? You right, brother. Don't you even worry about it. I'm going to take care of this. No, that's not what he said. So it didn't work. So it's amazing that we see something that didn't work, yet we still follow it. It didn't work for him. Deuteronomy chapter 19, and let's read verses 15 through 21.
One witness shall not rise up against a man for any lawlessness, or for any sin, in any sin that he sins. At the mouth of 2 witnesses, or at the mouth of 3 witnesses, shall the matter be established.
So this is with the knowledge of Jezebel, she knew enough about Yahweh's law to know you need to set 2 men up. See? So if you're going to really manipulate this situation, you need to know enough to manipulate. She knew enough about Yahweh's law to know I need to slide. I need two people. So one person can't just do it. I need a second one. So even the manipulation is following the law. Go ahead.
If a false witness rise up against any man to testify against him that which is wrong, then both the men, between whom the controversy is, shall stand before Yah, before the priests and the judges, which shall be in those days.
Right. So then when something goes, there is supposed to be a righteous trial where the priest or the judge hears both sides. This is how something ends up becoming a foul, unjust judgment, when you let one person talk and the other person never gets to present their side, and you have already made your decision. But it's also a thing of manipulation when folks decide they're going to skip the court date. See, we've had situations where people, the very people who have called for forums for everybody else, when they do something wrong, they skip their court date. Now, wait a minute, now we were supposed to have a forum between the individuals who said you did something against them. You look up, they skip their court date. Right. They think they gonna manipulate their way in dealing with that judgment by not showing up. But they gonna do the same thing down there at the DeKalb County. When you don't show up, they give you about a week, and then they offer that bench warrant. They gonna come get you. They gonna make you show up. You gonna show up for that judgment. Yahweh gonna do the same thing, but just in a different way. Go ahead.
Yeah, but sometimes if you show up for that forum and you work the situation out, then Yahweh don't have to get involved.
Hey, they do the same thing down at the courthouse. What they do? Before the court, before the date, they bring y'all in. All right. Y'all talk to one another. If y'all can't work it out, then we gonna go ahead and go in here into this courtroom. But I'm gonna give y'all an opportunity to talk this thing out. Mm-hmm. They give you an opportunity to have some kind of mediation so that you don't waste their time and their money. Because once they got to go in that room, somebody got to pay. All this stuff costs. So somebody gonna get a bill. But they give y'all an opportunity to talk it out. But that becomes impossible when all we can see is our way. Go ahead.
Verse 18. And the judges shall make diligent inquisition. And, behold, if the witness be a false witness, and has testified falsely against his brother, then shall you do unto him as he had thought to have done unto his brother.
Right. There's some people that have judgment coming to them because of whatever it is they intended to do with the lie that they told against somebody else. This is the only judgment in the book that changes. Every other thing, when you read about stealing, murder, adultery, it has one set judgment. Lying is the only judgment that changes. The judgment for lying and being a false witness is whatever you intended to happen to that person, that is your judgment. So if you were lying to defame their name, guess what Yahweh gonna do to you? If you were lying to take their property, guess what's gonna happen to your property? Folks get $1 million, you look up, and they broke in a year and a half. What happened? Right. All the lies to take somebody else's property, and Yahweh took all yours. That's your judgment for lying. It changes based on your intent with the lie that you told. Go ahead, bro.
So shall you put the evil away from among you. And those which remain shall hear and fear, and shall henceforth commit no more any such evil among you.
Told you. That's why he had the stoning and made everybody watch. See? Those which see, they gonna learn to fear. So Yahweh don't want the stoning to be a private matter. No. No, y'all come on out here and see it. I want you to see the flesh fly off their face. So you'll learn to fear. See? Then you'll learn, I'm not gonna do that right there. See, See, it's easy when you don't have to look at it. So, oh my goodness, here come righteous judgment. I'm going to the other room. No, you're not. Stand right here and watch it. You ain't going to do it no more. Go ahead.
And your eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life.
Your eye shall not pity. This is where we get in trouble. See, because we have pity for those who we love. And we don't want to let righteous judgment come unto them. And then by doing so, now we've justified wickedness. And now we're about to get the same punishment that the person who did the evil is supposed to get. This is how Eli ended up getting punished with his son. His son sitting there taking the offering, sleeping with the women at the gate. He knew it and didn't stop him. Yahweh gave him the same punishment they got. Because according to Yahweh, by him not chastising his sons correctly, you might as well have done it with him. Here it is, he ain't slept with no woman at the gate, yet he got the same punishment that his sons got. So when you justify wickedness, you might as well go ahead and jump up in it. When you hide the bank robbers, go ahead and get you some money. Because you're going to the same place of judgment. Go ahead.
Eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot.
Now, people will quickly tell you that, that's the Old Testament and we don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 10. And see, by telling that nice little rapture doctrine, even when judgment does come to the earth, they will say that they don't have to be bothered with it. It's not going to affect them. So they say. Hebrews chapter 10, and we're going to start at verse 1.
For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never, with those sacrifices which they offered year by year, continually make the comers thereunto perfect. For then would they not have ceased to be offered, because that the worshippers once purged should have had no more conscience of sins. But in those sacrifices there is a remembrance again made of sins every year. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins. Wherefore, when he comes into the world, he says, sacrifice and offering you would not, but a body have you prepared me.
Right, a body was prepared for the spirit of Israel to enter into and then suffer for the very creation that he helped create. Go ahead.
In burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin you have had no pleasure. Then said I, Lo, I come. In the volume of the book it is written of me, to do your will, O Elohim. Above, when he said, sacrifice and offering and burnt offerings and offering for sin you would not, neither had you pleasure therein, which are offered by the law. Then said he, Lo, I come to do your will, O Elohim. He takes away the first, that he may establish the second. By the which will we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Yahshua the Mashiach once for all. And every priest stands daily ministering and offering oftentimes the same sacrifices, which can never take away sins. But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, sat down on the right hand of Elohim, from henceforth expecting till his enemies be made his footstool. For by one offering he has perfected forever them that are sanctified, whereof the Holy Spirit also is a witness to us. For after that he had said before, This is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, said the Adonai.
This is the covenant that I will make. This is a future covenant. This is the New Testament, and the covenant has still not been made yet. Yet you'll tell people that they will tell you in a minute, yeah, well, we under the New Testament. That's what they say on Sunday morning. Yet we in Hebrews, and they still talking about will make. This is future. It hasn't been done yet. But they already talking about they under it. Go ahead.
I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds will I
And we
write them.
already know that ain't that, because they don't think they're subject to the law. See, the very part of the covenant that they claim to be under, you know they can't be under it, because the first part already tell you that they lying. I will put my laws in their heart. We don't have no law. You just talking about the law of faith. That's what we're talking about. Right. Right. And the law of faith is to have faith in Yahshua that he has died for your sin so that you don't have to do the animal sacrifice. But the rest of the law is still in effect. Go ahead.
And their sins and lawlessness will I remember no more.
Right. Why would there be lawlessness? See? They say it ain't no law. Go ahead.
Now where a remission of these is, there's no more offering for sin. Having therefore, brethren, boldness to enter into the holiest by the blood of Yahshua, by a new and living way, which he has consecrated for us through the veil, that is to say, his flesh, and having an high priest over the house of Elohim.
Right, there's order set up. And what happens is, people don't like the order. So they try to manipulate and undermine the order. But Yahshua is high priest, and ain't nobody gonna remove him from his post. He ain't never gonna die. He ain't gonna have to turn over his office to nobody else. And ain't gonna be no gainsaying it. You don't like what he said, go die. That's the only option. He ain't changing nothing. Go ahead.
Let us draw near with a true heart and full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience, and our bodies washed with pure water. Let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, for he is faithful that promised. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works.
And is that what we provoke one another to do? Do we provoke one another to good works? See, the talebearer provoke one another unto bad works. The talebearer is provoking people to have a negative thought about somebody else. That's provoking a bad work. And how you stop talebearing is when somebody is in the midst of talking to you about somebody else. Hold on, he right over here. Sean, come on here, brother. This brother was just saying something about you, man. Yeah, that brother was saying, yeah, say you just big and black, got them big old feet. Say you got them big hands, brother, pick up a piece of wine, the whole bottle just disappear in his hand. That's what he said. Come on over here. All right, now he here right here. Go on, say that, tell that brother what you were telling me. No. No, go ahead and tell him. Here you go right here. That's how you take care of talebearing. You put them right there in front of each other. That way that person won't come and pull you aside no more to start whispering in your ear. Every time they get to whispering in your ear, pull the other person. Where they at? Hold on. Stop what you're saying right there. I like that. That sounds good. Let me go find them. That's going to take care of that business. I tell you what, they might not stop talebearing, but I bet they won't come get you no more. Read, bro.
Verse 25. Not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. For if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remains no more sacrifice for sins, but a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation, which shall devour the adversaries. He that despised Moshe's law died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses.
He that despised Moshe's law died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses. The same very thing from that law is then set right back into effect here in the so-called New Testament. Go ahead.
Of how much sorer punishment suppose you shall he be thought worthy, who has trodden underfoot the Son of Elohim?
Right. We get our baptism, we get a new name, we say we're going to begin a new life, and then get right back just like a pig that was washed, that jumped right back in the mud. They say, oh, you talk about the Old Testament. Oh, no, you deserve a worse punishment than what was in the Old Testament. See, people don't know how to read this. Go ahead.
And has counted the blood of the covenant wherewith he was sanctified an unholy thing, and has done despite unto the Spirit of grace.
Now, this is not about falling and coming short of the expectation. All of us are going to have issues of growth where we don't quite measure up to all of those things, and then we have to try again and reassert ourselves and getting ourselves together. That's something altogether different than just walking in sin continually. That's willful sin. Oh, that's witchcraft. Go ahead.
For we know him that has said, vengeance belongs unto me. I will recompense, says the Adonai. And again, the Adonai shall judge his people.
Right, he's going to judge his people. He chastises his people. He disciplines his people. See, so there's people that receive chastisement along the way because they're Yahweh's sons and daughters, and he wants them to be better. Then Lucifer's children, he just leave them alone. They get their judgment at the end. He don't go to try to chastise Lucifer's children. Go ahead.
It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living Elohim. But call to remembrance the former days, in which, after you were illuminated, you endured a great fight of afflictions, partly whilst you were made a gazing stock, both by reproaches and afflictions, and partly whilst you became companions of them that were so used.
Right, because it's these things that were made to help reshape you into a better servant, usable for Yahweh. Because there's certain skill sets that we all have. We have to allow ourselves to be rearranged in the spirit so that those things are made profitable for Yahweh. Go ahead.
For you had compassion of me in my bonds, and took joyfully the spoiling of your goods, knowing in yourselves that you have in heaven a better and enduring substance. Cast not away therefore your confidence, which has great recompense of reward. For you have need of patience, that, after you have done the will of Elohim, you might receive the promise. For yet a little while, and he that shall come will come, and will not tarry. Now the just shall live by faith. But if any man draw back, my soul shall have no pleasure in him.
My soul shall have no pleasure in him. Why? Because he is drawn back unto spiritual ruin. Go ahead.
We are not of them who draw back unto perdition, but of them that believe to the saving of the soul.
All right, let's go to Revelation chapter 11. Revelation chapter 11. And we're going to read verses 1 through 19.
And there was given me a reed like unto a rod. And the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of Elohim, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not. For it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. And I'll give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth.
So at the ending time, before righteous judgment is set up on the earth, Yahweh sets up his holy law in the beginning, says that nobody can be condemned to death unless there's 2 witnesses. So then Yahweh is now bringing forth righteous judgment on the earth, and he brings the same 2 witnesses that Moshe talked about in the beginning of the book. Yahweh has order, and he follows his own order. Go ahead.
These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before Elohim, before the Elohim of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceeds out of their mouth and devours their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will.
So you know they're going to hate these 2 witnesses. They're going to be hated majorly. Go ahead.
And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them.
And this is going to be confusing. Something that has the power to stop rain, shut up heaven, turn the water into blood, bring forth any plague. But if you notice, all of a sudden, they're able to be killed. When? When their job is done. It says, and when they shall have finished their testimony. Their job is complete. Then Yahweh removes the hedge. Yeah, all right, go ahead and do that, what it is you're trying to do to them. Because their job is finished now. That's why I tell people, I don't ever want my job to be done. Yeah, my job done, I'm going to find something else to do. I don't know why folks just be, they fine not doing nothing. I be like, I need to do something. They're like, why? Because bad things happen to people when their job done. I don't need Yahweh to be like, oh yeah, we finished, what's up? Y'all go down there and kill him then. Yahweh said, all right, we don't need no sermon today. Well, I saw that floor was dirty up front. I'll take care of that, Yahweh. Now, I get another job. What about the vacuuming? What about that vacuum? Hey, me and Mishael will be fighting over that vacuum. Mishael, like, man, something just came out, just punched me out of nowhere. So why you did that? Because, hey, man, I had to get that vacuum, bro. I had to get that vacuum. Yeah, Yahweh wouldn't let me teach today. I got to do something. I can't run out of no jobs, Jack. When your job finished, bad things happen. I found another job. Go ahead.
And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Adonai was crucified. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations.
Where was our Adonai crucified? Where was he crucified? What's the city? It's awfully quiet in here. Yahweh has called Israel Sodom and Egypt. Rattle that around in your cage for a little while. People are like, I'm going to the Holy Land. Oh, you're going to Sodom. All right, I'll see you when you get back. Right. Read, bro.
Verse 9. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves.
Right, because they like to make examples of the disobedient. See, when they hung out people, they left us on the trees and let the birds come pick the flesh. Make examples out of them so that everybody else know this is what's going to happen to you if you disobey us. So understand what's happening here. They're making an example out of them by leaving them there. Go ahead.
And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth.
Now, remember, y'all remember the picture where the people are dressed in their Sunday best and they posing under the dead slave that's hanging on the tree? That's one of the most popular pictures around. They posing for the kids out there under the body hanging on the tree. Same thing. They rejoice. They rejoice in front of the hanging. Go ahead.
And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Elohim entered into them, and they stood upon their feet.
Now, man, I tell you what, this right here is going to scare the mess out of somebody. Imagine them folk had done let one of them slaves just hang on the tree for 3 days. Birds come pick at them. And then in that day, they just get up and get off the tree themselves. That would have ended slavery that day. Slavery would have been over that night. That's it. Free them all. Go ahead, bro.
And great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. And the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. And in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000. And the remnant were affrighted, and gave glory to the Elohim of heaven. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe comes quickly. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven, saying, The kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Adonai and of his Mashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever. And the 24 elders which sat before Elohim on their seats fell upon their faces and worshipped Elohim, saying, We give you thanks, O Adonai Elohim Almighty, which art and was and art to come, because you have taken to you your great power and have reigned. And the nations were angry, and your wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that you should give reward unto your servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear your name, small and great, and shouldeth destroy them which destroy the earth.
Right. So no matter what people believe, there is going to be a righteous judgment that is going to take place. Are we preparing for our court date? See, when you know you got a court date coming, you conduct yourself in a certain way. See, when somebody know they got a court date, they start picking out their clothes. You don't want to go to court looking any old kind of way. You know what your court date is. You start preparing for your court date. Well, here we don't know when the court date is, but you know you got one. Are you preparing for that date? And every story of excuse, he done already heard all of them. So don't even, if you're preparing, is that excuse thing, I can tell you your judgment not gonna go good, because he has heard excuses way better than the ones you got. Go ahead.
And the temple of Elohim was open in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament, and there were lightnings and voices and thunderings, and an earthquake and great hail.
All right, let's go to Proverbs chapter 26.
Proverbs chapter 26 and verse 1. As snow in summer and as rain in harvest, so honor is not seemly for a fool. As the bird by wandering, as the swallow by flying, so the curse causeless shall not come. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the ass, and a rod for the fool's back. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like unto him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit.
So then you have to be careful how you approach even dealing with the fool. You answer him about that folly, but don't get into the point where you have got into the same folly as the fool. Go ahead.
He that sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off the feet and drinks damage. The legs of the lame are not equal, so is a parable in the mouth of fools. As he that bindeth a stone in a sling, so is he that gives honor to a fool. As a thorn goes up into the hand of a drunkard, so is a parable in the mouth of fools.
Right, and you always find somebody that want to try to quote things from Yahweh while they doing some evil. Yahweh blessed me to be able to do that. Oh, so Yahweh told you to do that. Right. Go ahead.
The great Elohim that formed all things both rewards the fool and rewards transgressors. As a dog returns to his vomit, so a fool returns to his folly. Seeth you a man wise in his own conceit? There is more hope of a fool than of him. The slothful man says, There is a lion in the way, a lion is in the streets. As the door turns upon his hinges, so does the slothful upon his bed. The slothful hide his hands in his bosom. It grieves him to bring it again to his mouth. The sluggard is wiser in his own conceit than 7 men that render a reason. that can render a reason, pardon me. He that passes by and meddleth with strife belonging not to him is like one that takes a dog by the ears.
And what people will do is sow some of that discord so you can start meddling with things that don't belong to you. Go ahead.
As a madman who casteth firebrands, arrows, and death, so is the man that deceives his neighbor and says, am I not in sport? Where no wood is, there the fire goes out. So where there is no talebearer, the strife cease.
Right, because you may find two people that have an issue with one another. And if you leave the thing alone, over time, it will have its opportunity to smooth out. But the talebearer keep throwing another log on the fire, so the fire never go out. Every time that person is trying to get over something, here come the talebearer with another log.
You remember what they said about you, don't you? You do remember what they said, right? Did I tell you what they said? I'm going to text it to you.
Go ahead, bro.
As coals are to burning coals, and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. Burning lips and a wicked heart are like a potsherd covered with silver dross.
It says burning lips and a wicked heart. You should get a visual right there. Burning lip. Them lips can't wait to flap. They on fire. And that wicked heart just let everything come out of there. Go ahead.
He that hateth disassembleth with his lips, and layeth up deceit within him. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart.
Right. Even the nice things are setups. Go ahead.
Whose hatred is covered by deceit, his wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation.
Right. But when you do that, people say you're wrong. People say you're wrong. No, the wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. And whose responsibility is that? That's mine. That's my job. Go ahead.
Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolls a stone, it will return upon him. A lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it, and a flattering mouth worketh ruin.
All right, let's go to chapter 19. Proverbs chapter 19. And let's start that at verse 1.
Proverbs chapter 19 and verse 1. Better is the poor that walks in his integrity than he that is perverse in his lips and is a fool. Also, that the soul be without knowledge, it is not good, and he that hasteth with his feet sins. The foolishness of man perverteth his way, and his heart fretteth against Yahweh. Wealth maketh many friends, but the poor is separated from his neighbor. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaks lies shall not escape. Many will entreat the favor of the prince, and every man is a friend to him that gives gifts.
So that we can buy favor. See, we can buy us some friends. We can buy some people that will agree with our wrong. That's the way of capitalism in America. That's why rich people do evil and they won't do a day in jail. They buy them powerful friends. Go ahead.
All the brethren of the poor do hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him? He pursueth them with words, yet they are wanting to him. He that getteth wisdom loves his own soul. He that keeps understanding shall find good. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaks lies shall perish. Delight is not seemly for a fool, much less for a servant to have rule over princes. The discretion of a man deferreth his anger, and it is his glory to pass over a transgression. The king's wrath is as the roaring of a lion, but his favor is as dew upon the grass. A foolish son is the calamity of his father, and the contentions of a wife are a continual dropping. House and riches are the inheritance of fathers, and a prudent wife is from Yah. Slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger. He that keepeth the commandment keepeth his own soul, but he that despises his ways shall die. He that has pity upon the poor lends unto Yah.
He that has pity upon the poor lends to Yahweh. Go ahead.
And that which he has given will he pay him again.
Right. You give it to the poor, Yahweh give it back to you. Go ahead.
Chasten your son while there is hope, and let not your soul spare for his crying.
Right. This is why some people cannot be disciplined to this day, because their parents have helped make them that way. Anytime somebody gets ready to discipline the child, don't you say that about my baby. Leave my baby alone. Right. And then they get older and stronger and get worse in those evil ways, because the mama won't let nobody deal with them. And you look back and you find after years and years of that, you end up having a rotten entity before you. And who shares that blame? The very parents who wouldn't chastise the child. So they'll tell you in the well-to-do circles,
Oh, we don't believe in, whipping our child. We just talk to them.
that work in a different zip code. Because that don't work over here in the hood. Because that courthouse is much ready to discipline your kid. Oh, they waiting on you. Ain't got to discipline. We got that for you. Yeah, we got a nice sale right here with your kid's name on it. So you better take care of that business, or they gonna take care of that business. But see, you got grown folk that's still taking up for grown folk. Won't let nothing happen. And you're not helping them. You help make those people worse. And it says, understand here, chasten your son, verse 18, while there is hope. Oh, you can't start doing that when they're 32.
Stop that, little Jimmy.
Oh, no, he riding to the court now, boo-boo. Ain't no chastening him now. You have helped him become rotten. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 19. A man of great anger shall suffer punishment, for if you deliver him, yet you must do it again.
You have to continually keep doing it. Why? Because he's setting those ways. Go ahead.
Hear counsel and receive instruction, that you may be wise in your latter end. There are many devices in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the counsel of Yahweh, that shall stand. The desire of a man is his kindness, and a poor man is better than a liar.
Have you gotten the message yet that Yahweh hate liars? Go ahead.
The fear of Yahweh tendeth to life, and he that has it shall abide satisfied. He shall not be visited with evil.
There's sometimes that we should just stop talking. When you feel that lie on the edge of your tongue, bite it. Look. What you doing? That lie was almost about to come out of there. I had to stop it. Right. Go ahead.
A slothful man hide his hands in his bosom, and will not so much as bring it to his mouth again. Smite a scorner, and the simple will beware, and reprove one that has understanding, and he will understand knowledge.
If you reprove one who has understanding, they will learn from it and grow from it. Go ahead.
He that wasteth his father and chastise away his mother and
Chase away.
Verse 26. He that wasteth his father and chasteth away his mother is a son that causes shame and bringeth reproach. Cease, my son, to hear the instruction that causes to err from the words of knowledge. An ungodly witness scorneth judgment, and the mouth of the wicked devoureth lawlessness. Judgments are prepared for scorners, and stripes for the back of fools.
All right, let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Revelation chapter 12. Revelation chapter 12. Go ahead, bro.
You know, you were talking about chastening your child. I was looking at some report where this whole thing of not chastising your child is spreading out. I read something down in Jamaica. They're talking about doing away with beating your children. I'm like, boy, look at here. Them kids are already rotting down there as it is.
Well, you know, sometimes, man, you know, the kids can be raised or pick up some strange things by what we allow them to deal with. Leo had sent me this article where a kid was playing dodgeball and they hit the other little kid and they tried to lock the little boy up. The little boy like 10 years old. And they want to charge this little boy with a criminal act because he had hit the other little, now of course, now you got to get into the dynamics of it. It was a black boy who was throwing the ball and hit a white boy and they were playing dodgeball. So now he hurt the white boy. So now he's supposed to go to jail because he was aggressively playing dodgeball. I guess that must be the charge, aggressive dodgeball. They wanted to charge. And a whole lot of people had to come out and act a fool about it before they end up taking those charges away. But they ready to charge a 10-year-old. Now, look into the situation of why the boy got hurt with the dodgeball. The little boy had a physical ailment that he shouldn't have been playing no sport like that anyway. Now, understand, now this is putting the burden on everybody else. And this child should have never been in physical sports. But now it's somebody else's fault that they got hurt. Now this child should now go to jail because the parents let this child play. You already know the child got an issue. Why they out there playing dodgeball? Why they out there getting hit with a ball and you know the child has a physical issue?
Well, we don't want to stop the kids. We want to let them flourish and grow.
Yeah, he gonna flourish with that ball stuck in his face. And you know he got an issue. See? So at what point do parents have to take on the responsibility for knowing this child has an issue, but still pushing that child out to get in a situation where they get hurt? So you got several levels of how that has to be done. And what happened if those people didn't show up in Hollywood to come and bag this little boy? We talking about, man, a 10-year-old would have been prosecuted for playing dodgeball. I would have definitely been in prison. We played stickball. We played football on the concrete, and there was this thing called sideline bus. Oh my God, we love sideline bus. Sideline bus, if you in the middle, it's touch football. Oh, but if we catch you on the curb, we get to tackle you because you fall in the grass. Oh my God, we would take turns. All right, you funnel him to the side, and then I'll hit him. Next time I'll funnel him to the side, and then you get to hit. So everybody got a little bus in there. And boy, you catch him on that doggone curb. Wow! Man, folks used to go flying in the air. And you know what? We limped home. We had bloody nose, bloody lip. Guess what? See y'all tomorrow. We back the next day playing sideline bus. Football in the concrete. And we took advantage when we got to that grass. But wasn't nobody trying to sue nobody after somebody's kid got hurt. You came in there with a fat nose or a fat lip. Your mama like,
Y'all didn't win today, did you? No, mama, we lost. Hey, put some ice on that, baby. Ooh, you look like the boy from Good Times. That lip is swole, boy.
that was it. Ain't nobody trip on nobody. We'll be right back out the next day. But we also didn't have people out there who had issues. If we know you have an issue, then we're going to deal lightly with you. But if you come out there like everybody else, like ain't nothing wrong, how do you turn around and hold somebody else responsible for what happens to you? Revelation chapter 12, and let's read verses 9 through 11.
And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world.
Right. The master manipulator, the one who wants everybody who likes manipulation to join his team. Go ahead.
He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
Uh-huh.
And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our Elohim and the power of his Mashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Elohim day and night.
Right. So this is what the discord sowing talebearer does. He accuses our brethren day and night. And he believes he's got a just cause because he says, I didn't make him do it. I just presented opportunity, situation, and circumstance, and I whispered a few things in their ear. At the end of the day, they made the decision. Didn't you tell me they was a servant or a Hebrew Israelite or something? Didn't you tell me that? Do that look Hebrew or Israelitish to you? Right. He can't wait to go tell on you. Go ahead.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb.
Right. This is where your power is. You shall overcome him by the blood of the Lamb. So you let him tell his slick, manipulative, lying stories. You shall overcome by the blood of the Lamb. It may look like he winning. He ain't gonna win. He's a liar. And liars ain't gonna win. Go ahead, bro.
But you can't overcome if all you see is the faults of everybody else and you can't see your own faults.
Bro, you'll never be able to deal with yourself. You'll never be able to grow. You'll never be able to, that's that thing where self-check comes in. See, when that self-check, there's some things that somebody shouldn't even have to tell you. There's some things you should see yourself. There's some things after the third or fourth time it doesn't happen to you, where does self-check come in? Why does somebody got to pull you aside? Hey, man, you know, you done hurt several people doing such and such. You didn't know you hurt them? You didn't feel that thump when you ran up. You didn't think, you know, was that James? What was that? You don't. Why does that never occur? Somebody got to pull you aside to tell you that. There should be some kind of self-check at some point. Maybe you don't catch the first one, but you ought to catch something so that you can deal with those things. But if you have already been conditioned, especially if you grew up and have been instructed not to deal with anything about yourself, and you got some folks at home that's going to blow that minty cool smoke up your posterior.
Ain't nothing wrong with you, baby. Something wrong with all them. Yeah, there you go.
Right. Then you ain't never going to get right. Go ahead, brother.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death.
All right. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.